All right, welcome to Well Read. I'm your host, Justin Chapman. We have a very special guest today, the best-selling author of a couple dozen books and plays and screenplays, including, of course, the cult classic novel Trainspotting, the one and only Irvine Welsh, about heroin addicts in Scotland that was, of course, adapted into the film by Danny Boyle 30 years ago this year. Irvine, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's good to see you
Thank
again.
you for having me, Justin.
Irvin and I actually met 20 years ago. I interviewed him in Seattle. I can't believe it's been 20 years.
It's
Um,
crazy.
but for the Pasadena Weekly, he was doing one of his book tours. And then when my first book came out, he was very gracious in writing a nice blurb about the book, which was so fucking cool. So thanks again for that. And before we get into your new books coming out, you were just in the U.S. this month to watch Scotland in the World Cup, and Scottish fans sort of became the story here, right? With drinking Boston Dry and cheering on other local teams. I was rooting for Scotland as well because my father-in-law, who passed away last year, had Scottish heritage, and he's a well-known author as well, Sidney Kirkpatrick. And unfortunately, Scotland didn't go through. But tell us about your experience here and how it felt to see Scotland back in the World Cup.
It was great. They were back. We didn't expect to be there. We don't have the strongest team. Our teams have got progressively. I mean, we went from being when I started following football, it was kind of possible that Scotland would win the World Cup. They had such a kind of they had a lot of really great players. They didn't always get on with each other though. So it was a kind of it was a sort of tragic kind of thing, really. All this talent, but they couldn't stand each other. And now they've got a kind of tremendous esprit de corps, but that's all they've got. They've not got much of a team in terms of skill. So it was great that they got there, and everybody was determined to go and to enjoy it and to have a party. And it was a great experience because. Scots do quite well abroad. They kind of they put their best foot forward and they get kind of mucked in and they like to they like to interact with the locals and they're really interested in the places that they go to. So that kind of came across, and they had a bit of a love affair with Boston and with Miami as well. They sort of they got involved in everything. They kind of donated to local kind of children's charities, and they cleaned up after them when they had their parties, and they involved locals, and they went along to baseball games at Fenway Park and the Marlins Stadium, and yeah, they just got involved basically in the community in a way that a lot of supporters don't. They just they'll go there and they'll have their own do their own thing and then they'll leave. But we kind of got right into it basically. Yeah.
Mhm. I think you said it's no longer shite being Scottish.
Yeah, I mean that was a develop point of the whole Scottish independence debate when people kind of got a bit down on themselves. They got a bit down on being Scottish. They started off kind of, I mean, in my sort of experience of all the whole Scottish independence thing, it started off being very down on the English. It's England's fault that we're this, it's England's fault that we're that. And then it moved on to being a kind of self-flagellating thing. It's our own fault. It's nothing to do. It's us. We blow it all the time. And then it's like it's got to a point now where a much healthier thing where it's like, it doesn't really matter whose fault it is, it's not important. The whole point is that we kind of sort it out and have create the best kind of society that we want, basically. So there's a kind of proper sort of can-do spirit about the whole thing now, I think.
Do you think Scotland will ever vote for independence?
I think it's probably inevitable in the long run because I think that a lot of the old countries, the old states that were formed in the period of empire, don't really serve the citizens. They kind of they were basically constructed to serve elites, and they're doing that now. And I think people are fed up with them. And I think it's like I don't think it's a Scottish and British thing. I think it's a general thing, but I think it's particularly manifest. I don't think it's so much about. It's not so much about Scotland being independent. It's about Britain not being sustainable in its current form. I don't think.
Mhm. And so your latest book is a direct sequel to Trainspotting called Men in Love, which is coming out in the U.S. In a week or so now. It's been out in the U.K. for a year. I've noticed that with your books. UK version comes out about a year before the U.S. version. Is that pretty typical?
It never used to be. I think what happened was that now I think because everything is so global with the internet. I think it's like if people in a lot of other English-speaking countries, when it comes out, if they just order it online, basically have it
Mhm.
delivered. So
Yeah.
it's it's I think that when it comes out in America, it's usually made quite a few sales in the States by then. So I don't know. I mean, it's I think it really depends on the kind of type of book it is, the nature of the book. I mean, I think that the one that I'm doing now that's coming out in August and that's set in Vegas, it's a very American book. It's not really, there's no kind of there's no Scottish connection at all in it. I think that one's probably likely to come out a lot closer to maybe come out in the New Year's over here.
Mhm. And will you be doing any book events in the U.S. for Men in Love?
I did one in Miami to, basically to get the thing going. I'm hoping to get across, to New York and LA. I'm not really sure. It's just been such a crazy year because we have the Trainspotting play going into the West End. We're deep in
Mhm.
rehearsals and that, and then it goes on tour. So we start off at the Theatre Royal in the West End in basically in just over a week's time now. No, 2 weeks time now. So it's like it's quite it's come round, and we're working on the album for it. We've got a lot of great singers covering our songs. We're doing we'll obviously do a cast album, but we're doing an independent one as well. So we've got Bobby Gillespie from Primal Scream, Suggs from Madness, Benji from Skindreds, Kevin Rowland from Dexys Midnight Runners, Justin Curry from Delamitri, Louise Benner from Sleeper. We've got quite we've got a really good bunch of singers. So yeah, so that's been we're trying to kind of get that mixed and mastered. So yeah, it's been a lot of things happening this year.
Mhm. Yeah, you've always got tons of stuff going on. And so the timeline of the Train Spotting universe is Skag Boys, Train Spotting, Men in Love, Porno, Blade Artist, and Dead Men's Trousers. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, it's right out. It's no, it's actually Dead Man's. Sorry, yeah, Minute. Yeah, that is it actually. Yeah, you've got me confused now. I mean, I kind of the publisher says to me like, you don't do things. You don't do yourself any favors. You're supposed to kind of do these things in sequence, but
Mhm.
I can't. I mean, I'm always writing about these characters, but I can't be bothered to do them in sequence because I don't write that way. I write kind of, in sort of issue or concept based. So I have to have something to write about. You have to have something to tie it all together.
Is it hard to keep the chronology in order in your head, or do you have to like
Yeah, I mean,
go
there
look
is.
online or?
It's a mess. It's a mess. I mean, there's always somebody who writes in and says, "Well, how did this happen in this time when this other person like
Mhm.
died 2 weeks ago?" And I'm going, "Oh, right, yeah." So I mean, I try and get it as good as I can, but it's there's a few things that you have to end up. Sometimes you realize you're giving them a different name, the character a different surname and all. And you have to think, well, he changed his name because of some sort of some kind of financial scam he was involved in and all. So you make all this nonsense to sort of to create that continuity.
And in Men in Love, Sick Boy is sort of the main character of the book, right? And one of the main scenes is his wedding, which is a funny and unexpected idea for him after all his womanizing and whatnot. And then you also mentioned the Trainspotting musical, but also with Men in Love, there was an accompanying musical album, right? The Sci-Fi Soul
Yeah,
Orchestra. So
yeah.
really a multimedia book. So how did that come about? I know you
Um,
DJ and music's always been a big part of your character development.
Yeah, I mean, it's my pal Steve McGuinness, the guy that I wrote the musical with for Trainspotting. We've been writing the music for Trainspotting, and I thought like, let's do an album to go along with the book. So we did a kind of disco soul album because these are the tracks that, if you look at the timeline for these characters. this disco and kind of, sort of soul music, even if they're not into it themselves, it's always on in the background. There's always a disco track on in the background in your life, through various stages of your life you might engage with, or you might sing along to, or you might hear it when even when you're washing the dishes or sort of ironing your shirt or something like that, it'll be playing on in the background. Even if you're not a kind of big dance aficionado, you might be going to a dance club and it's playing, or you might go into a pub and it's playing in the background. So it's a fairly ubiquitous type of music. So we decided to lean into that, and we did a sort of a disco kind of Motown Philadelphia sort of soul type album.
And I think you're also DJing at a 30th anniversary screening of Trainspotting soon.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. With Darren Emerson, when
Mhm.
we're taking over the Leith Theatre, which is great, because Leith Theatre just had such a checkered history. It's like I remember being when I was about 15, I seen Mott the Hoople play there, and that's about that's probably the only time it's been open in the last 50
Wow.
years. Like it's kind of had a it fell into disrepair, and finally. Now that the trams have moved down to Leith, and it's opened up for the people that used to come to Edinburgh used to be scared to go down to Leith.
Mhm.
It was they thought it was too rough and dangerous, and now it never was really, but people believe that to be the case. And now they've opened up the trams, and it's become a bit more. Parts of it, anyway, become a bit more gentrified. Parts of it become a bit worse, actually.
Mhm.
Um, but the theatre's opened up now, and it's a great space for Edinburgh. It's got a big grant to renovate, and so there's a lot of things that are happening there now. So
Mhm.
it's great to be able to do that there, just around the corner from where I wrote the actual book. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 30 years later, 3 years later, it's still, there's still so many elements of it still playing out, the musical and the sequels and everything else, the movies.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it that it's had those legs, but I think it's all it's that thing that anything that was big in the analog kind of era, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, kind of gets frozen. It's a bit like that kind of sort of mosquito in the Jurassic Park amber. Basically, it becomes ossified in this thing. It's because it's the thing about kids. They look at it now. It's like young people look at it, and it's like they think it's their book. They're like I'll do readings and talks all over the world, and it's all young people there.
Hmm.
And when I come in, I'll walk out into the stage and they go, "Who the fuck is this old bastard?" Like, they think they expect me to be young, they expect me to be the same age as them.
Hmm.
It's like, and I think it's because the internet has removed all that context to it. They just see it as a young person's book. This is a young person's book. I'm a young person. They don't really think of the temporal thing.
Hmm.
But when you think about it, the issues of the issues of addiction are much bigger now. They're much more than street drugs. The thing that they're holding on their face is an addictive thing in itself. It's a gateway to all other addictions. But also the existential crisis of we're all members of the precariat now. We don't know how long we're going to be able to work or get paid work, and AI is coming along and destroying it. And our masters now, they don't even, they used to say this is all for progress, but it's not. They just basically say you're fucked. Like,
Right.
nothing to do with us. But you're going to have this anyway, whether you like it or not. So it's an interesting time,
Oh,
and
wow.
I think that sense of alienation and that sense of kind of sort of what do we do? Why are we here? Like I think that's more acute with young people now than it was back then.
Wow. Yeah, scary. And so you mentioned the Trainspotting musical, and you also wrote or co-wrote the score for that as well, right? I mean, did you find writing books and writing music sort of satisfy the same creative urge?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I always feel that I was thinking about when it was like Phil McIntyre asked me to do the Trainspotting musical years and years ago, and I thought I couldn't find a way of doing it. And then I started working with Steve. We started doing music together. We formed a label and started had a dance act and kind of started playing festivals. And it kind of struck me that the way that I write music and the way that I write novels is very similar. It's very I'm getting a music vibe on when I'm writing my books and
Mhm.
all that, and then when I'm writing my books, I'm stopping and I'm messing around on my keyboard and getting a little riff, getting a little kind of melody going on, and maybe singing, writing some lyrics down to it as I go, So
Mhm.
I slide in from one to the other, and sometimes the division for me is quite artificial. It's like I feel that I'm writing a book and a tune sometimes at the same time.
Mhm.
So one definitely inspires the other. I mean, I always thought traditionally, because I'd started off playing in terrible bands, and then sort of the I was always a balladeer. I was always telling a story, and I got rid of the music.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously the music's kind of been in my head all the time as well, even though I've not, so now I'm going back to my original process and doing the music at the same time as I'm doing the story.
Will there be a Men in Love sequel?
Yes, actually, I used to always be coy about this and say, no, I'm not doing any more of these characters, but I actually, because I found so much material on them, I'm just going to go on with it, and
Mhm.
I've got a sort of a plan which is about, this is about the Men in Love's about the quest for love, and the next one is about the obstacles to love, the real sort of distractions and what are the things that get in the way of people getting together. So I'm looking at all these now and and sticking them together. Like
And that's going to be in between Men in Love and porno?
I think, yeah, that'll fill the gap in between Men in Love and porno. That should seal the gap nicely, and then we'll
Mhm.
have proper
And
bunch of books and like you can start putting them in proper order there, mate. Like,
yeah. And then you mentioned the brand new non-train spotting related book coming out in August, Can Nothing Save Us, which you said takes place in Vegas. Tell us about what that book's about and why you chose Vegas as the setting.
well, I wanted to write because I lived in America for 10 years, and I've still got a place in Miami that so I'm usually there for 3 months in the year. Um, I wanted to write about what's happened in America, what I've seen in my time there, what I've observed and what I've felt about it. And I thought, where am I going to set the book? And I decided that I would. I was with Calvin Harris, and he had a residency at the Hakkasan in the MGM in Vegas. He was DJing there, and I was just basically just there, kind of hanging out, and I started to write, and I started to get this sense that if you want to write about America, what is the place that you can write about modern America and modern consumer capitalism in America, and you think it has to be Vegas because it's almost like if you want to see what's happening in America, you go to Vegas first because it always happens there in the more extreme. It's a
Mm,
place that shouldn't really exist. Plonked there in the desert. For
mm,
the basically for for the gaming laws in California, and and all this stuff that kind of goes along with it, with this kind of new place that's designed to service our addictions, basically, to
mm.
gambling and sex and money and alcohol and drugs and all that. It's basically there for that, and it's also struggling now. It's like it's lost the boxing to Saudi Arabia. It's lost the gambling. It's lost the gambling to the online crowd. I mean, I noticed when I was that Calvin Harris's kind of young EDM crew, they don't go to the tables. There's always a tipping point in Vegas where people will go there and for to party, then they'll end up on the tables and they'll come back and play them. The young crowd don't. If they're going to gamble, they'll do it all online. And the idea of sitting at a table is just like a gambling, round a roulette wheel or and all that. It's just kind of they just wouldn't get that at all. So it's dying on its feet basically. It's still got the kind of cabaret type kind of crowd and all that in the shows, but even that is past its kind of big high water mark of the Tony Bennett type era. And that, it's you've got Britney Spears and Mark Goss and all that kind of stuff that are trying to keeping that going. But it is very. It feels like a place in decline. It feels like a kind of an empire, a civilization in decline. So I wanted to go off the strip and to just look at a family of three generations, like uh, an old hippie couple, a yuppie kind of sort of car dealership real estate kind of couple, sort of 80s Reaganite kind of couple, and young EDM kids, basically, all living in this one household, or all part of the same family, and them coming to terms with all the sort of economic and social changes in the States and having their own take on the politics of it all, So it was a great book to write, it turned into quite a big sprawling epic, and I really enjoyed writing it. I don't know what people will make of it.
Mhm. Well,
You know.
I mean, it's like Hunter Thompson said in 71 is Vegas is like the death of the American dream.
Yeah, I mean it's almost like what they used to say that you can see the Great Wall of China and the Strip of Las Vegas from space, and what they're saying now is that it's harder to see the Strip because the lights are dimming. They're split. They're turning. The they can't afford to keep things going in Vegas. It's like they
Mhm.
can't afford to keep everything running because nobody's going there. Nobody has the money for the bachelorette parties and all that now, and
Right.
the bachelor parties are just they're having them locally in their own cities rather than
Mhm.
going away to Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've of course had a lot of stuff happening in TV and film as well. Will there be a third season of the crime TV show based on Resolution?
I hope so. I mean, TV in Britain is having a terrible time now. We've got a
Hmm.
couple of projects in the mix that have gummed up basically, and just nobody's writing any checks. People are not they're not watching things now, and the budgets have gone down, and
Mhm.
I mean, we were offered Crime 3 in a kind of massively reduced budget, and I just thought, well, it's like we can't make it for that kind of money because,
Right.
the production value goes down. You feel that you're just taking the piss out of people, and kind of you've built an audience, then you give them something that looks really shabby, you know,
Hmm.
um, that people are just you see these you don't want to make these kind of 80s British cop shows when they're just handing bits of paper to everybody, or everything's shot in an underground car park and all that,
Right.
So, I mean, we're crime free with the book Resolution. I wanted it to be shot in that kind of factory because the book is all about this disused factory where everything takes place, and I
Hmm.
wanted to recreate that, and it costs it costs money to do that, and the budgets don't really justify it. So I couldn't see how it would be done to operate. But you never know. We're
Hmm.
not giving up hope. We're still in the ongoing dialogue with people. So maybe eventually it will happen. I'm not sure.
What about the Blade Artist with Carlisle?
The Blade Artist, yeah, we've had the bit. Funny enough, but I ran into the director Lewis Arnold today in the street. Where I was just I was doing an interview and Lewis bumped into me. Just being jet lagged, I didn't recognize him at first with his baseball cap on. He looked about 10 years younger than the last time I've seen him, perversely. So we just had a chat about it, and we're saying, well, we have to really sort of. It's been with Channel 4, and again, it's
Hmm.
that thing. Nobody's writing checks. There's been a lot of positive indications about it, so we're going to have to. I've been a bit sort of again, I've been absorbed in other things, and so he has as well. He's just had a new show, so we'll have to get kind of back on it and with them and see what the state of play is. But he said actually that Bobby had just phoned them up the other day. There was asking him what was going on. So yeah, we have to sort of pick up the ball on that again.
Hmm. And then, of course, I have to ask, what about a third Trainspotting movie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think so, but I get the odd email from Danny saying, maybe we should do a third one and all that. I don't know. It's just maybe he's just winding me up and teasing me and all that, but you never know. But I don't know. I mean, Danny keeps saying to me he's retired, he's finished now. He's not. He doesn't want to do anything else. And then I'll read in the trades that Danny Boyle has an exciting new project on, like,
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think he just finds it. I think. I can't ever see him retiring. Like, he just doesn't
Hmm.
seem to be that guy. I mean, what's he going to do? He's not going to sit at home with
Yeah.
his carpet slippers and his Horlicks and all that. He's just, he's an all action sort of guy. So I don't know. Maybe one day. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And I think he's right. I think he's doing the third 28 days later, 28 years later, right?
Yeah, he keeps on knocking these ones out. Like,
Hmm. And then you were also the subject of a recent documentary, Reality is Not Enough. Do you know when that will be available to watch in the US?
I don't actually, because the director Paul and I we just launched it in Poland and Hungary
Hmm.
just a few weeks ago, and I don't know what's happening with the different territories. I'll chase them up on that, but I've had a lot of people asking me about it, saying when is it available in America? When can we see it? I had friends wanting to do a screening in San Francisco and in LA, so yeah, hopefully there'll be news on that soon. Yeah.
And then besides the new book, Can Nothing Save Us, what other new projects are you working on? I know you've always got something cooking.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the other the follow up to Men in Love, basically. I'm getting on with that. I've got quite a few music projects in the offing. We're going to try and do a song for the Can Nothing Save Us Vegas book, and we're just trying to find. We've got a great track, and trying to find a singer for it.
Hmm.
Uh, and So yeah, but yeah, just bouncing around. I mean, I feel that I've been doing so much recently. I feel like I need to just take time off, have a bit of family time, kind of maybe do a bit of travel with the wife and spend a bit of time in Edinburgh with everybody.
Hmm.
I've kind of dropped the ball a bit with that, and I really want to sort of and I think also taking a bit of time off will do me good as well. It'll get me into there'll be I've just gone from one project to the next basically, and I'd like to kind of sort of recharge the batteries by doing a bit of travel and getting some insights into different things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Urban, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show. You know, your work's been a huge inspiration to me in my writing for many years since I was, 13,
Oh,
14. So
thank
so
you,
thank
man.
you. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm loving that bookshelf behind you there, mate.
Oh yeah.
It's a great shelf. You can tell a man by his bookshelf, and it's fabulous.
Yeah, I've been collecting those for a while. Well,
Yes,
well, hope you do some book events on the West Coast for Men in Love and the new book and thanks again. I really appreciate your time.
brilliant. Thank you, Justin. Cheers, buddy.
All right, take care. Everyone go out and get Men in Love and Can Nothing Save Us.